Wow. I have been lifted up by you. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is amazing. Music here. Thank you, music team. And it's wonderful to be back here. It's been 2.5 years already since I spent time here, which was a wonderful situation. I recognize some faces. I'm sorry I don't remember all the names, but I feel so welcomed by all of you who did remember me and have come forward. Thank you so much. You know, when Thanksgiving comes, I think about that verse that I learned as a child. I learned a lot of verses from the Bible. Don't remember much of all of them, but little pieces come into my head, you know? You know how that happens? Come into his presence with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. And I think, now how does that fit my unity theology? His presence. Come into his presence. And I'm thinking, but I'm always in his presence, or her presence, or its presence. In fact, the presence is in me, and I am living it.
Right.
So how does that verse work for me now? Well, sure it works for me, because sometimes my head isn't in that presence.
Right.
And so it's an invitation to come back into the presence with thanksgiving, into its courts, the sphere of God. Love, joy, and life come into that court with praise, just like the song that we just sang. How wonderful that fits together. So I love how that little interpretation works with our 3 first principles of unity. There is only one presence and power, and that is God, all good. And I am that. I am divine. You are divine. We are all manifestations of the divine, all good. And the third one, it's all about our thoughts. It's all about what we choose to focus on. And so the question is, come into his presence. Remember to step into that presence and power to invigorate your life and to be all that you can be. Myrtle Fillmore, the mother of unity, had a wonderful little piece. This book that she wrote, How to Let God Help You, is so inspiring to me. I keep it next to my nightstand and read it before I turn off the light, because whatever page I open to helps me to remember what's real. So I opened up the little, this is a collection of letters she wrote to many, many people who have wrote into her. And this, it was about Thanksgiving. She wrote, show me a family, let's say a household, we can define family any way we want. Show me a family where thanksgiving and praise become a habit, and I will show you a healthy, harmonious, and prosperous household.
Wow. Yeah.
She goes on to say, for as surely as the filing wings its way to the magnet. Now stop and think. The iron filings, remember that funny little thing we used to play with the little wand and put the beard around the man's face? Woolly iron filings?
Yeah.
Woolly magnet. Okay? And you could just magically get those filings to just catch up to the magnet and wing their way. Okay, so this is written 100 years ago, so maybe they played with that back then. For as surely as the filing wings its way to the magnet, so surely does our waiting good fly to meet the needs of a praiseful and thankful home.
Wow. That's good.
Show me the seeds that you sow and the thoughts that you think, and I can foretell the manner of your harvest. For it is the same in our mind world as it is in the soil world. Powerful woman. So inspiring. Myrtle Fillmore. I want to play with those 3 phrases. The first one, show me a family that has gratitude as a habit, and I'll show you a harmonious, prosperous household. the fun thing about these teachings from the founders from 100+ years ago, the fun thing is that now social science and brain research is showing us proof that this is not just woo-woo stuff.
Right.
And so I found a book I wanted to share with you. I hope you get what this picture is from a distance. The smiley face. It's called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. I'm probably crucifying that name. A-C-H-O-R. The subtitle is The 7 Principles of Positive Psychology That Fuel Success and Performance at the Workplace. And he talks about all these different studies, Harvard studies, that prove some of the things that New Thought has been teaching. He said, gratitude, let me think about gratitude as an attractor. Like, is gratitude really something attracts our good? Well, that's kind of metaphorical language, because really, I'm not sure we attract our good. Gratitude can help us see it when we don't see it otherwise. And the studies are showing that. Here's an example. So there's a Harvard study that they did where they paid students to play Tetris all day long for 3 days. Wouldn't that be fabulous? Get paid to do a video game. And so, you know, remember Tetris? It's on your iPhone. And so it was this thing where these shapes dropped down, and you could move them this way or that way, or turn them 90 degrees and make them fit into the space below, and you're trying to make that space not fill up the whole screen. So you're on your edge, and you're trying to, it's a lot about visual perception and how fast you can move those arrow keys. And so these kids played Tetris for 3 days solid. And what they found out is that when they left the studio or the lab where they were playing Tetris, when they left, they started seeing shapes all over the place. So they'd walk downtown and they'd see that building and the line of the skyscrapers and the skyline and find themselves saying, if I could turn that building to the side and move it over, it would fit right into there. Isn't that amazing? So what they had been doing for those 3 days of playing Tetris is training their brains into these cognitive patterns that just automatically saw shapes and relationships and how to fit things together. They were creating neural pathways in their brains that they hadn't had before, and got better and better at it, and were able to train their brains to see spatial relationships. And so it was really a nice way of saying we can train our brains. And so the author goes on to talk about how we are rewarded for certain ways that our brains work. For example, at work, if you're a manager, you're rewarded to see a problem and solve it, or to deal with a stress. If you're a therapist or something, or if you're a accountant, you have to balance the books. You have to find the mistake. So you trained your brain to find the problem and solve it. And he went on to say, I thought of doctors as well, noticing the problems that need fixing, the injustices that need righting, politicians, peace activists. You train your brain to see what's unjust, and so then you can try to fix it. And we do that all in our lives as we manage our households, our personal budgets, relationships. What's wrong with this picture, right? And then how can we fix it? So we condition our minds to look for the problem so it can be fixed. So that, he actually called that the Tetris Effect.
Oh, right.
So hours and hours of playing, and then have you ever played a video game, or, well, I had it when I drove down from the mountains yesterday after 3 hours of driving, and I closed my eyes at night, I saw the road.
Right.
It happens every time. Or when you play a video game, I get into those grooves once in a while, and I have to match the 3 colors, then they disappear. And so I close my eyes and I see the cursor moving these little stones around. It's something we have introduced into our brains and caused neural pathways to be blazed so that we continually play back that sort of thing. Now, I wonder if that has anything to do with if we can see the good in the world versus seeing everything that's wrong in the world. What do you think?
If we did that, yeah.
A lot of people say, well, you guys talk about how great everything is all the time, and oh, it's all wonderful, and it's all fluff, but I've got real stuff going on in my life. You just don't know. And so, what that person is saying is, I refuse to look at the gratitude and the praise and the happiness because I am so stuck in those neural pathways of seeing something negative. And I believe that very strongly, that we can get stuck. We can get stuck to the point where we just are going round and round in circles. It's always the same thing. Nothing good ever happens to me. Or maybe your circle isn't just a circle on a flat plane. Maybe it's a circle that's going down. And you find yourself just sinking into darker and darker negativity. And it's hard to make that switch. And you might think everybody else can do it, but I can't. You might even feel like you're just at the bottom and don't know how to even see any joy and gratitude. And here it is, Thanksgiving, and then Advent, and everybody's supposed to be all happy and joyful, and my life sucks. Right? Excuse my language. I'm listening to Shadow Shay up in the mountains. But the thing that I realized, and I had this experience myself of over a decade of depression over a decade ago, and New Thought, unity is what taught me to release it. I could not see joy. There was no light. I was feeling less and less more and more incompetent every day. Holding a job, taking care of the kids, being the soccer mom, all the stuff on the surface, but inside it was like, you've been there.
Yeah.
Some of you know someone who's been there.
Yeah.
And I got this message from my Unity congregation in Durham that said, you can change your thoughts. What a concept. You mean I don't have to think negative anymore? Or at least for one moment in the day I can think positive? Not superficial positive, but think the teachings. I am one with God, all good, love, life, source. And if Jesus said everything I do, you can do too, I'm going to claim that. I have got nothing to lose.
Right.
I'm on the bottom anyway. So why not try it? And I denied those negative thoughts. They had no power over me. My head, my cognitive head said, I don't know about this. But I did the practice. And then I replaced it with an affirmation, just like you are practicing to do in this center right here. Replaced it with, I am empowered. I am able to meet all my life challenges. And whether my habituated brain got it or not, I decided that doesn't matter. I'm going to do this practice. Spiritual practice has the word practice in it. you've got to practice it. Even if 23.75 hours of your day are negative, you can take 15 minutes in a day to practice trying to make new neural pathways in your brain. So even when you are considering that you might be joining your family of origin on Thursday and you might be anticipating some challenging conversations or behaviors that you'll always let them push your buttons. And you might even be thinking, I just wish Thanksgiving would go away in terms of the family. You can take that as your opportunity to practice something. What could you practice? You could practice being grateful for one little piece of that experience. Think about your friends whose families aren't around anymore when you're in the middle of your family that bugs you. And can you think of one little energy of gratitude that I still have some family here? Or think about if you are without family. You could say, I have this church family,
Right.
and I can be grateful for it.
Amen.
I have a family, no matter what it looks like or whether they're blood related or not. Gratitude is something you might have to pull out from outside of your habituated neural pathways and put in. So practicing is a huge part of this. Studies in this book were cited that people who practiced a gratitude journal and they had a control group who also wrote, I wrote 20 minutes 3 times a week journaling about a positive experience. The control group was told to just write about anything, neutral. The people who did this after a certain period of time at the end of the study showed larger spikes of happiness, and that was measured in less depression. At 3 months, at 6 months, it was continually larger spikes of happiness as compared to the control group who just journaled neutral. So it's an empirical study that's telling us this is exactly what Myrtle was teaching us a long time ago. Show me a family who has a habit of being grateful, and I'll show you a healthy, prosperous, harmonious family. And she said, if you sow seeds in the soil world, if you sow a tomato plant, you're going to get a tomato plant. If you sow that, don't expect to see a corn stalk coming up. So she said it's the same thing in the mind world. If you plant seeds in your mind of gratitude, that's what's going to show up in your world. So it's not like if I think gratitude, all my good comes zooming to me. It's more like if I think gratitude, I'll see the positive. I'll see more to be grateful for. As you move into more and more practice of being grateful, you will train your eye to find the things to be grateful for. And so instead of walking into the room and seeing all the things that are wrong with it, you'll walk into the room and see it's filled with light, or it feels good in here. It's amazing that you can do that if you condition your mind. So I just want to invite you. Oh, and of course, Charles was always saying, everything has a cause, and all causes are mental. Your choices of what to think is how you manifest. It's just like when you decide that you want to buy a new car and you've decided to buy a Prius, you see tons of Priuses all over town. Did they just materialize as soon as you decided that? Like everybody went, there aren't any more at the Toyota lot anymore? No, it's because you decided to think about that. you decided to choose to think about a Prius, and then you see them and you say, how will I look behind the wheel? Oh, the blue one is nice, I like that. You know, and you see them everywhere and say, oh my gosh, you know. It's because you trained your mind to start noticing them. It's not that they just suddenly, like the iron filings, came winging their way to you. It's just because you have trained your mind to see it. So I want to take a moment before we go into the music-led meditation to ask you to do a gratitude experiment with me. They say 17 seconds of focusing on something you want to think about will raise your vibrational level. I'm a student of Abraham Hicks, and I know that some of you are, and so that's really important, she says all the time. Raising your vibrational level, bringing you up to the level of where you want to be rather than down here. You can do it with your thoughts. So I want you to fix on something you're grateful for. If you're having a hard time, maybe one of your friends can help you. Can you shout out something you're thinking about right now?
Two beautiful children.
My daughter.
Two beautiful children.
This unity community.
This community.
Yes.
Being provided for.
Being provided for.
Two
My
grandchildren.
wonderful
Sister.
Mine too.
It's a mutual admiration society.
It is.
Health. What did you say?
Machinery that works.
Yeah.
Harmony.
Harmony. All right, there's lots of good examples. So if you didn't think of something yourself, you could even think about your dog that brings you joy, or your cat, or a memory. Let's hold that in silence for 17 seconds. Gratitude. Now as we come out of that, don't forget how simple that was. Silence, focusing on gratitude, training your mind, making new neural pathways of joy, gratitude, and expansiveness. That is your spiritual practice. And do it with vigor and watch how your world can change. Thank you. God bless you.